You'd think a vampire would be right at home in this place. You'd be wrong. Let's just find my mother and get out of here, quickly.
I feel terrible for the dead who end up here for eternity. Seems awful, like they're still suffering.
Just what my mother told me. I've also studied a little bit on my own, but there's not much. When something is trapped in a soul gem, and then the energy is used for powering an enchantment, the remnants are sent here. Well, I think it's specifically the black ones. I don't know if the soul cairn takes just any leftovers. Look at this place. Do you think anything would want to live here? The only things that can survive here are the ideal masters, the undead, and the souls themselves. Well, if you want to call that living. I don't think anyone's ever met the ideal masters. I'm not even sure anyone knows what they look like. They could be underground, flying above us. They might be the ground. I have no idea. Lots of theories. Some say they feed on them like I feed on blood. Others think they use them as payment for an even higher power. Almost like a currency, a very strange currency. Whatever they're doing with them, they've been harvesting for millennia. No telling how many souls are trapped here. Look around you. There are some extremely powerful undead here. Even a necromancer as seasoned as my mother would be willing to spend years trying to gain access to them. Exactly. It's a lost art. Most necromancers just raise up whatever bodies are nearby. A simple trick, really. Child's play. But bringing something from the soul cairn gives you something much more powerful. Well, that's usually the trick. It's possible to do it through a simple portal. But to finalize the deal, you have to travel here yourself. And most of them never come back. No, but there's no way she would have left it in Tamriel. She wanted to get it as far away from my father as possible. I can't imagine a better place. Then we find out where she hid it, if she's still alive. Well, as alive as she was before. Or is now. Or... you know what I mean. Probably to avoid whatever my father would do to her if he got his hands on her. Or maybe her plan was to come back, but she was stuck here. We won't know until we find her. Look at the sky. What kind of place is this? Look at the sky. What kind of place is this? Let's keep moving. I feel being watched.
Sorry.
right, let's do this. Who's there?
I knew it.
This won't end well for you. Let's keep moving. I feel like we're being watched.
You must help me find my Arvak. He doesn't deserve to be in a place like this. Arvak, my horse. We came to this horrible place together. We were attacked by monsters, so I told him to run. Please, he's such a loyal creature, and he's been running for so long. You have to save him. A place like this will change you. Arvak? Arvak! Where are you? Arvak, please come back! Come back!
Good evening.
Tough day for you.
Feels good. Kind of soothing, actually. You'd think a vampire would be right at home in this place. You'd be wrong. Let's just find my mother and get out of here. The air, the ground. This is all wrong.
I can't imagine living here, or being dead here, or whatever they call it.
Me too. Just you and me against the world now. Not that I'm complaining. Mother? Mother!
Can't be. Serana?
Is it really you? I can't believe it. How do we get inside? We have to talk.
Serana, what are you doing here? Where's your father?
He doesn't know we're here. I don't have time to explain.
I must have failed. Harkon's found a way to decipher the prophecy, hasn't he?
No, you've got it all wrong. We're here to stop him, to make everything right.
Wait a minute. You've brought a stranger here? Have you lost your mind?
No, you don't...
You, come forward. I would speak with you.
So how has it come to pass that a vampire hunter is in the company of my daughter? It pains me to think you'd travel with Serana under the guise of her protector in an effort to hunt me down. Coming from one who murders vampires as a trade, I find it hard to believe your intentions are noble. Serana has sacrificed everything to prevent Harkon from completing the prophecy. I would have expected her to explain that to you. You think I'd have the audacity to place my own daughter in that tomb for the protection of her Elder Scroll alone? The scrolls are merely a means to an end. The key to the tyranny of the sun is Serana herself. When I fled Castle Volkihar, I fled with 2 Elder Scrolls. The scroll I presume you found with Serana speaks of Ariel and his arcane weapon, Ariel's bow. The second scroll declares that the blood of Cold Harbor's daughter will blind the eye of the dragon. Like myself, Serana was a human once. We were devout followers of Lord Molig Bal. Tradition dictates the females be offered to Molig Bal on his summoning day. Few survive the ordeal. Those that do emerge as a pure-blooded vampire. We call such confluences the Daughters of Cold Harbor. Now you're beginning to see why I wanted to protect Serana, and why I've kept the other Elder Scroll as far from her as possible. If Harkon obtained Ariel's bow, and Serana's blood was used to taint the weapon, the tyranny of the sun would be complete. In his eyes, she'd be dying for the good of all vampires. And how exactly do you plan on stopping him? If you believe that, then you're a bigger fool than I originally suspected. Don't you think I weighed that option before I enacted my plans? You care nothing for Serana, or our plight. Whether or not you've become one of us in order to survive the Soul Care, you're still a vampire hunter at heart. You're here because we're abominations in your mind. Evil creatures that need to be destroyed. Serana, this stranger aligns himself with those that would hunt you down and slay you like an animal. Yet I should entrust you to him.
This stranger has done more for me in the brief time I've known him than you've done in centuries.
How dare you? I gave up everything I cared about to protect you from that fanatic you call a father.
Yes, he's a fanatic. He's changed. But he's still my father. Why can't you understand how that makes me feel?
If you only open your eyes... The moment your father discovers your role in the prophecy, that he needs your blood, you'll be in terrible danger.
So, to protect me, you decided to shut me away from everything I cared about? You never asked me if hiding me in that tomb was the best course of action. You just expected me to follow you blindly. Both of you were obsessed with your own paths. Your motivations might have been different. But in the end, I'm still just a pawn to you two. I want us to be a family again, but I don't know if we can ever have that. Maybe we don't deserve that kind of happiness. Maybe it isn't for us. But we have to stop him before he goes too far. And to do that, we need the Elder Scroll.
I'm sorry, Serana. I didn't know. I didn't see. I've allowed my hatred of your father to estrange us for too long. Forgive me. If you want the Elder Scroll, it's yours. Your intentions are still somewhat unclear to me, but for Serana's sake, I'll assist you in any way that I can. Yes, I've kept it safely secured here ever since I was imprisoned. Fortunately, you're in a position to breach the barrier that surrounds these ruins. You need to locate the tallest of the rocky spires that surround these ruins. At their bases, the barrier's energy is being drawn from unfortunate souls that have been exiled here. Destroy the keepers that are tending them, and it should bring the barrier down. One more word of warning. There's a dragon that calls itself Durnevere roaming the cairn. Be wary of him. The Ideal Masters have charged him with overseeing the keepers, and will undoubtedly intervene if you're perceived as a threat. When I entered the Soul Cairn, I had intended to strike a bargain with the Ideal Masters, the custodians of this place. I requested refuge in the Soul Cairn, and in exchange, I would provide the Ideal Masters the souls that they crave. If I had foreseen the value they placed on my own soul, I would never have come here. The Ideal Masters unleashed their keepers and sent them to destroy me. Fortunately, I was able to hold them at bay and retreat into these ruins. Unfortunately, yes, since the keepers weren't able to claim my soul, they had their minions construct a barrier that I'd never be able to breach. Time has very little meaning to me. Consequently, it has little meaning to the Ideal Masters as well. I suppose you could call this the ultimate waiting game, each watching the other to see which will give in. I know very little about them. They're mystic entities that lord over the Soul Cairn, controlling every aspect from its fabric to its appearance. Well, some necromancers believe they are the crystalline structures dotting the soul cairn. I believe there's more to it than that. I think they transcend what we perceive as a physical form. Perhaps they were once corporeal beings, but they've obviously reached a point where they no longer require a tangible presence. Conduits, through which the Ideal Masters speak to their underlings and feed on their victims. The Ideal Masters' weakness is their insatiable hunger for pure souls. It's the reason for the soul cairn's existence, and the only leverage a necromancer has when bargaining with. The ability to summon powerful undead guardians, as one would conjure an Atronak or Daedra. However, the majority of necromancers that are foolish enough to enter into a bargain with the Ideal Masters wind up here, as harvested souls. Harkon's vision is a world plunged in eternal darkness, where the vampire can flourish, and never again fear the tyranny of the sun. What he fails to realize is how much attention would be called to our kind if the prophecy came to fruition. If eternal night fell, there are many who wouldn't stand for it. They would raise armies in attempts to return things to normal. The order of the day would be our destruction, until every last vampire was hunted down and eliminated. I do. It's how the vampire has survived for millennia, and the only way we can continue to survive in the future. As you've been traveling in the soul cairn, your body has become attuned to it. Let's just say a tiny part of you rubbed off on it, and in its place, a bit of the soul cairn filled the void. You should find no difficulty using the portal any longer. Be careful, and keep my daughter safe.
Let's kill those keeper things and get back to the prison. Relieved, I think. All those things had been building up for a while. You have no idea how long I wanted to say that to her. Look, I loved my father, but when he found that prophecy, that became his life. Everything else, even me and my mother, we just became clutter. I was close with my mother, but she just kept feeding me her opinions of him, and eventually, I started believing them. The moment we gave ourselves to Molag Bal, things got really icy between them. They were both drunk with power, and pulling in different directions. Then he found that prophecy, and that was it. Honestly, it took me up until now to figure out that my mother was really just as bad as he was. He was obsessed with power. She was obsessed with seeing him fail. It was just so toxic. Maybe I could have seen this coming. We could all be better off now. I know that in my head, but I just can't help feeling bad about the way things are. Sorry. I know you're trying to help. Thanks. Anyway, we should keep moving.
You managed to destroy all 3 keepers? Very impressive. Yes. Please follow me. Keep watch for Nsfw. With the prison's barrier down, he's almost certain to investigate.
I'm glad you're here. I didn't think I could be doing this alone. Oh, what would you like me to wear? Do you want me to wear armor or mage robes? Let's get going. I hear something.
It's Nsfw. He's here. Defend yourselves! Who's there? You heard something.
Hope you're ready to do this.
Forgive my astonishment. Volumes written on Nsfw allege that he can't be slain by normal means. It appears they were mistaken. Unless... the soul of a dragon is as resilient as its owner's scaly hide. It's possible that your killing blow has merely displaced Nsfw's physical form while he reconstitutes himself. Minutes, hours, years. I can't even begin to guess. I suggest we don't wait around to find out. Now, let's get you the Elder Scroll, and you can be on your way. What do you want? What did you want? What did you want?
Feels good. Kind of soothing, actually. I can't believe we found my mother alive. Well, you know what I mean. I can't believe we found my mother alive. Well, you know what I mean.
Now that you've retrieved the Elder Scroll, you should be on your way. Now that you've retrieved the Elder Scroll, you should be on your way. Now that you've retrieved the Elder Scroll, you should be on your way. I have no choice. As I told you before, I'm a daughter of Cold Harbor. If I return to Tamriel, that increases Harkon's likelihood of bringing the tyranny of the sun to fruition. I appreciate your concern for me, but Serana is all that I care about. I must keep her safe at all costs. Remember that Harkon is not to be trusted. No matter what he promises, he'll deceive you in order to get what he wants. And promise me he'll keep my daughter safe. She's the only thing valuable I have left. Did you have anything to ask before you depart? Even if I could, it would only serve to hinder your efforts. Harkon would likely sense my return to Tamriel. The last thing you need right now is a trail for him to follow. Like Serana, I am a daughter of Cold Harbor, a vampire offspring of Molig Bal. My presence in Tamriel would simply double the risk that Harkon could complete the prophecy. The only way I'd even consider returning to Tamriel was if Harkon were not only to fail, but to be destroyed. You must understand, he's no longer the man I married all that time ago. He's obsessed, insane. Everyone around him fears him as they would a rabid dog. For all of this to end, he must die. Do you have anything to ask?
Good. Kind of soothing, actually.
I was hoping it wouldn't smell this bad.
Nothing else then? Come on, let's go home. What's the plan? Dexion said something about that scroll. What was it? Something to do with dragons, I think. Maybe we should try asking at the College of Winterhold. Sounds like something they'd know about. I can't say it surprises me. I kind of figured we were heading for this someday. I just didn't know when. If. I've been assuming that's where this is all going. I've been trying to make my peace with it. Come on, we can talk about this another time. They used to call Windhelm the City of Kings. In my books, anyway. Going there and seeing it for myself, though, I'm kind of disappointed. I had expected it to be bigger. Barkeep, I'd like a wench.
You expect me to believe that?
I'd like a drink.
How can I argue with that? Of course.
Thanks.
How can I argue with that?
Yeah.
A little coin always greases the wheels.
Don't speak of this to anyone.
Huh?
Not my problem.
Nah, I don't think so.
I think now would be a good time to talk.
How can I argue with that? Not my problem.
I think now would be a good time to talk.
Yep.
A little
think so.
coin always.
I wasn't sure we'd make it out of there in one piece. I know this sounds weird, but I felt kind of scared.
How can I
for
argue
you?
with that?
For both of us. The Ideal Masters could do anything, really. They could have trapped us there for one. I wouldn't like to be a hostage for eternity. Again.
It would seem so. Nah, I don't think so.
Maybe you're a pile of talking script jelly. The Ideal Masters are real. Everything I said about the Soul Cairn was real. There are trapped souls, cryptic, floating entities. We fought an undead dragon. What we saw basically spelled out everything I had read about that place. The Soul Cairn, realm of oblivion as ruled by the Ideal Masters. And, of course, you didn't see them. They're called Unseen for a reason. Ugh. Wait. You're just messing with me, aren't you?
Nah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's not funny. Maybe next time, I'll be the one to personally soul trap and place you in the Soul Cairn. See how you take that.
How can I argue with that?
You really don't give up, do you? Seriously.
Can't be helped.
I'm just glad it's all over.
I don't think so.
I know I can be moody sometimes, but honestly, I appreciate that you're keeping our spirits up. Thanks. Look, there is something I'd like to tell you, and I really feel like now's the time. Do you like me?
can I argue with
Not
that?
just as a friend, but as something else? I think you know what I mean.
Yeah.
A little coin always greases the wheels.
Then, hopefully this won't be
I
awkward.
don't think so.
Hey there, I have a little something for you.
How can I argue with that?
So, what do you want to talk about?
So,
Not my problem. A little
Well,
coin always
it's
greases the wheels.
nice, actually. You You are so nice and... Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to...
It can't be helped.
I feel free,
I don't think so.
for once. I didn't mean to jump you like that. I just wanted to do it my way this time. To conquer my fear and do the very thing that still gives me nightmares. On my terms. It had to be someone I trust. It had to be you. I used to see intimacy as a way to deceive, to take advantage, and most of all, to demonstrate power, control, domination, degradation. It's like, all my life, I've only ever seen a facade. I just wanted to experience what it's really meant to be like for once. With you.
I'm ready when you are.
It would seem so.
I'm a sorceress, and a damn good one too.
How can I argue with that?
How could I argue with that?
I don't think so.
It can't be helped.
You expect me to believe that?
How can I argue with that?
Yeah.
Nah,
Not
I
my
don't
problem.
think so.
Hey, even I can get tired every now and then. Finally, a place to just relax.
Yep.
How could I argue with that?
How can I argue with that?
Nah, I don't think so.
A little coin always greases the
Expect me to
wheel.
believe that?
Huh?
Indeed.
It would seem so.
Nah, I don't think so.
Not my problem. You expect me to believe that? Yeah.
How can I argue with that?
I'm glad you're here.
I don't think so.
Sure thing. Do you want to have it standing here, or do you want to find a seat
always
first?
greases the wheels.
How can I argue with that?
All right.
Greases the wheels.
How can I argue with that?
It can't be helped. Expect me to believe that?
Nah.
So, are we ready to start?
It would seem so.
Hurry up then, I don't have all day.
Nah, I don't think so.
How can I argue with that?
Not my problem.
Yep.
Huh?
You expect me to believe that?
Indeed.
How could I argue with that? How could I argue with that?
A little coin always greases the wheel.
Nah, I don't.
Nah, I don't think so.
It can't be helped. How could I argue with that?
You expect me to believe that?
Not my problem.
So, are we ready to start?
How could I argue with that?
All right. Now, on to the drinks. Do you want to have mead, wine, or just plain milk?
How can
A
I
little
argue with
coin
that?
always greases the wheels.
Indeed.
Ah, okay then. I don't think you have some milk on you, though.
Nah, I don't
Here,
think so.
I'll help you out.
Nah, I don't think so.
Likewise.
It would seem.
How does it feel to be the mighty hero of Skyrim? Distinguished for such tasks
How can I
as
argue with that?
being a courier, being a courier,
Not
being
my
a
problem.
courier, and lastly, being a courier. What? It's true. Almost everything you've done revolves around that. Go to this place, kill some things, pick something up, and deliver it to someone.
How can I argue with that? A little coin always greases the wheels.
Nah, I don't think so.
Our adventuring has been getting more tiring lately. It's as if the world is responding to your growing power. As you get stronger, enemies get stronger. Which is why moments where I get to drink with you are all the more lovely. Finally, a time to rest and just relax. This isn't necessarily a past journey, but I was thinking about this regardless. The Civil War. Waking up to this whole mess was truly something I did not expect. I expected a change in who was the High King, but I didn't know that they were more complicated. Cyrodiil being the seat of an empire, for one. And besides this whole civil contention for Skyrim's land, we have Altmer nationalists eyeing to conquer it as well.
Nah, I don't think so.
Sometimes, I kind of wish that we weren't so... How do you say this? Well, renowned. At this point, most of Skyrim has heard of your name, and half of it is trying to kill us. It seems like it's almost impossible to have a nice, leisurely stroll outside city walls without getting pounced upon or attacked. If we could, I would like to just leave here, you know? Travel to some distant place, settle down, live the peaceful life. Not to be known or seen as heroes or great warriors, but as simple country folk, really.
Nah, I don't think so.
Nah.
So, we don't only need one, but two Elder Scrolls to decipher the prophecy, right? I mean, that's quite a hefty task. I don't think anyone in history has ever been on a hunt for two Elder Scrolls. Finding one alone is already quite a big deal. Then again, this whole prophecy isn't exactly small news either.
How can I argue with
How can
that?
I argue with that?
Growing up back on the island, I barely left the castle. Most of my knowledge from the outside world came from books.
Seems so.
However, most of even that is sadly out of date, by at least several centuries. Talk about a fish out of water. That's why I need you to show me around this wonderful
Nah, I
land.
don't think so.
Be a good guide for this old relic. So, what do you want to talk about
Me to
now?
believe that? It would seem so.
Well, this one is a hard one. While I do like Altmer wine, I would have to say the crown goes to Cyrodiilic brandy. The texture is just so... unique. The flavors are strong, but not overpowering, and it sort of has a nutty, chocolatey aftertaste. Though, it doesn't help that the brandy is so hard to find in Skyrim these days.
How can I argue with that?
It can't be helped.
It's nice, spending time like this, just having drinks together.
It would seem so.
You expect me to believe that?
How can I argue with that? How can I argue with that? Not my problem.
You expect me to believe that?
Oh? What is it?
It can't be helped. It would seem so.
The frozen hearth. For one of the only remaining buildings in Winterhold, it sure looks all right.
How can I argue with that?
I don't think so.
little